Hello, welcome to the MMQB NFL podcast. I'm Conor, stationed in New Jersey. That's Albert Breer over in the great state of Massachusetts. And unless you're running the University of North Carolina Twitter feed, you did not miss Drake Maye and the New England Patriots in a program-defining victory over the Buffalo Bills on Sunday Night Football, and we're going to lead with that. But I just want to mention, so this report came out on right before we started taping.
I mean,
so
Monday,
Monday morning about 9 a.m. That sources inside of the North Carolina program, and I want to make sure I get the credit correct on this for the so sources inside the North Carolina football program told Ross Martin. I think he's with 24/7
sports,
24/7 sports and CBS. Okay. Sources told him that Bill Belichick forbade anyone from the program of tweeting or retweeting anything Patriots related. So unfortunately, that includes Drake Maye, who literally may end up being like the second greatest player in program history after Lawrence Taylor.
and for anybody who wants to say that's not weird, I would just say this: any NFL player that any of these places have gets promoted to the hilt because it helps you with recruiting.
Like so, every time Sauce Gardner sneezes, the Cincinnati Twitter account explodes.
Yes. Right, like. My alma mater's Twitter account was all over the Seattle Tampa Bay game for obvious reasons yesterday. So like this would not just be weird and an excellent piece of grudge holding. It also is like detrimental to the program.
Right.
You know,
that thing is falling apart, and I keep promising to have Pat Forty on. I'm gonna our college football extraordinaire.
Yeah.
We need to have Pat on Wednesday.
We need to have a round table, like we can call it like an intervention.
Yeah, Belichick Intervention Wednesday. Let us know in the comments if you're interested in that. But it seems very there was the thing now where he's pivoting from portal transfers to high school kids. And now all the portal transfers there are pissed off because they're essentially like rebuilding, and it's not going well. That Clemson game was one of the sadder things that I've ever seen on a college football Saturday. So
I think the Ludacris concert went okay, though, right?
What's that?
I think the Ludacris concert went okay, though, right?
Wait, there was a Ludacris concert.
Oh, you didn't hear this part of it?
No.
Oh, this is great. So they scheduled like a concert series, you know, to kind of hype up things around the big games and everything.
Wonder whose idea that was.
And so, little did they know, because, you know, that's how you reach kids in 2025 is by having a Ludacris concert.
Now that's what I call music too.
Yeah. But, I think that they probably thought, okay, like we'll be playing Clemson. This is going to be like the biggest game of the weekend. And nope, Clemson's 1-3, and North Carolina is in the you know what, and the game gets moved to noon. So that Ludacris concert took place at I think 9:45 a.m.
No,
yeah,
oh my god,
true story.
That is so funny. All right, I'm looking up. Yeah,
you know what was the worst thing though? I don't know if did you see like what happened at the end of that game? I'm assuming you had more important things to do than watch Carolina Clemson football. But
so I
haven't been in front of the TV.
I was checking in and out throughout the day, and it's a big yard work Saturday. But I did watch some of it. Did he call a timeout with like a second left?
Yes, so that's where we're going. Yeah, he called timeout with a second left, and so. Dabo had clearly taken his foot off the gas. I think it was 35-3, like early in the third quarter. And so at this point, it's like 38-10. And North Carolina gets a first down, and there's 1 second left, and he calls timeout. And so ESPN then like kind of seems dumbfounded and then quickly cuts to the studio. And I think it was Matthew Berry is like the anchor and goes, yeah, so for some reason, Bill Belichick keeps calling timeouts. So we're gonna dump out of this North Carolina game and get all of you to Texas, Florida. So, I mean, like the ultimate indignity, not only did you call a timeout with 1 second left, but ESPN was like, the hell with this. And not that like Texas, Florida wouldn't have been a bigger deal anyway, but just I think the way it was executed added another layer to what's been a pretty tough month and a half in Chapel Hill.
I'm reading some of the like the social media stream. I'm sure Instagram is better, but I'm just old and I like to. I'm used to X. I shouldn't say that I like X, but I'm used to it. Ludacris said on stage at this 10 a.m. concert, "Out of my 25 years of doing this, this is the earliest show I have ever done." And I guess I don't know the song "Baby," but I guess he just played it twice. So I don't know if that was because he was
that
so
a new
tired.
one? I don't know.
I'm not familiar with much of Ludacris's canon, but the fact that you would play a song twice either means that you don't give a shit or you're too tired and you forgot that you played it the first time. So,
that's unbelievable.
Yeah. That's how that goes.
I mean,
I will say this though, and I mean, having been a part of something where you hire a musician to come and play. I mean, I think you remember
like your wedding?
Well, no, my wedding was a disaster. The DJ and the photographer like disappeared. I still don't have half of my wedding photos. But do you remember the was it when we threw the big party, the Sports Illustrated party at the College Football Hall of Fame? We had Lil Wayne come.
Yep.
And I think he ended up taking the stage at like 2:45 in the morning.
I was there, yeah. I mean, I was there with like all the Niners people. I remember that. Like I had to. That was the first year where it was like I had people like all over me to try to get them in, and I think that might have been the first year it came back or something, or they were trying to make a big deal out of it then.
Yeah, it was College Football Hall of Fame, and I mean, a cool party.
Yeah, it was.
But my point is that when the rapper thing is notoriously just takes place a lot later than you think it's going to take place.
Yeah.
And so kudos to Ludacris for making it like a 10 a.m. stage call. Like what time did he have to be up for that? That's insane.
Yeah. So anyway, like that was to me, it's just a lot of embarrassment. Like, I don't know where they go from here. Like, cause I think we were all like looking, okay, like what's going to happen when they play Clemson? Now we found out. And that was with a Clemson team that's not nearly as good as we thought Clemson was going to be. I don't know what's next, man. I don't know.
Yeah. And I would say this, that I think if we thought that, however you want to say it, I think if we thought that the Apple documentary, and if we thought that was the end of the credit wars, and by that I mean Brady, Kraft, and Belichick kind of all in a power triangle trying to assert what they did.
Brady already won though.
But
right?
Brady won by winning another Super Bowl, right? So now it's Kraft and Belichick that are kind of tearing away at the remaining pieces. But I think if you think that this is over, I think that you've got another thing coming, because my guess is some people who stood idly by while he got to run the team as he saw fit for a quarter century are probably getting ready to, kick a dead horse, beat a dead horse. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
And he's not a dead horse, but he's losing to Clemson by 40 points.
I mean,
and it's embarrassing.
I never thought I never thought this would become Jimmy Jerry, but it is. That's exactly what it is now.
It's sad. It's sad. I think it's sad.
I think, and did you watch the Cowboys documentary?
No, out of principle, I refuse.
Okay. Because it was interesting at the end of it, they showed what Jerry, Jerry putting Jimmy in the Ring of Honor, and you wouldn't believe what the one question he wanted to ask Jimmy was before he put him in was, why do you insist on taking credit for the Herschel Walker trade? It's amazing the way these things work. You know what I mean? Like, it really is. It's just, the ego's involved and everything else. And I actually think like Brady winning added a layer to it, because it's like, okay, like now we know who is most responsible, right? So it's almost like there's only so much credit left to go around, and whatever.
Brady went and won the Super Bowl. Then Kraft made a big deal out of his handpicked successor being Jayden Maye, and that's the guy that I identified. And then that imploded, so that knocks you down a peg. And then it's like one of those little sausage races at the MLB park that and then this one's in the lead, then this one's in the lead, and then Belichick goes to North Carolina. And you're thinking, okay, if he wins 10 games his first year, then Kraft is at the bottom because he had to go fire, and it's so funny. Like,
well, it was like, so it had gotten so bad in Foxborough that like Kraft couldn't afford to be the outside the box. He had to do the most conventional thing, which was hire the hottest candidate on the market who had connections to his franchise. There was nothing genius about that. It was, and that's, I guess, where we can segue. But it was like he had to go back and like, okay, like I just have to do I have to do the easy thing. Like that was, in the words of a buddy of mine, he was playing checkers, not chess there. Enough chess. Now we're going to play checkers. And it looks like checkers is working. Shout out to Mark Bertrand, but he's playing checkers, not chess.
Checkers, not chess. Well, let's get into the Sunday night game. Enough of BB and all that nonsense. So this was, I hate to, it's a platitude, right? Everybody's saying this is Drake Maye's primetime coming out party. I hate to say that that's the case, but in a lot of ways it is, right?
Yeah.
And for a guy who didn't throw a touchdown pass, didn't score a touchdown, was sacked 4 times, but still had a 100+ quarterback rating, Drake Maye did some unbelievable things against this Bills offense. And the Patriots defense, I thought, was the hidden star of this game. Christian Gonzalez looked otherworldly. Josh Allen looked pedestrian. He looked confused, but in the pocket. And that was one of the first times that I've seen him all year without answers and without like a confidence. And maybe that's has been building a little bit. Like he had the no touchdown game against the Jets. There was a couple, the Saints game didn't look good. And maybe this was kind of their slap upside the head game to get right before the important games and the meat of the season. Either way, this is a significant game. I mean, is
it fair to say this is way more significant for one team than it is for the other?
Well, here's what I'll say. For example, let's just play a chaos scenario here where the Bills endure a lot of injuries, maybe an important one. And then all of a sudden you're playing New England again this season, and that game determines some sort of a tiebreaker scenario. Like if Buffalo goes from undefeated and incredible to middle of the, like let's say this turns into the AFC North, then it becomes a big deal. But I agree that this is like, okay, if Vanderbilt knocks off, I don't know, Alabama.
So I would say the interesting thing about Buffalo to me, and I've sort of like, I try, you guys, have you seen the thing I was tracking with the Panthers where it was like they were getting beaten 52-7, then they scored 55 unanswered points, then they had 57, whatever it was, all of that. That's sort of been the way the Bills season went too. You know, like they got pushed around by the Ravens and they came back and were outstanding for the last 10 minutes of that game, right? Unbelievable. Then they blow the Jets off the field in week 2. Then they come back, and in week 3, if you watch that Dolphins game, I'd say, what was it, for the first 20, 25 minutes, it looked like that game was going to be 100-0. Right. And since then, they haven't quite looked the same. Right? Because like it's like you look great at the very beginning, or you looked bad at the very beginning, then you put your foot on the gas, and you get past the Ravens, you beat the crap out of the Jets, and you like just get on top of the Dolphins. And since then, it's been you let the Dolphins back in the game, you screwed around with the Saints, and now you lose to the Patriots. And so I do wonder if part of this too is like, you know, I mean, they're at the point now where they're everyone's big game, and there's an adjustment that comes with that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like, I feel like for everyone has a chance to turn their season or define their program, like you said, playing against Buffalo. And like the Chiefs are very used to that, right? Like I think that was sort of the hidden story of the Chiefs season last year it wasn't how they were just surviving. It was, they were taking everyone's best shot, you know?
Yeah.
And like every week they play, it's an opportunity for someone else to prove themselves, you know?
Yeah.
And I think Buffalo sort of almost feels like maybe they're adjusting to that a little bit now, right? Like where it's Josh Allen and the big bad Bills, and you know, every week you are like the coaching staff you're playing against is emptying the clip on you, you know, and the players are all locked in. And I mean, I don't know, like I think that part of it is real, you know. And the Eagles are going through it too, you know.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think there is something to that. Not to take anything. I mean, the Patriots were. I mean, to me, like I thought the play style, you could see that they played violently, they played fast. The offensive line looked better than I mean, I was stunned how good the offensive line looked on balance. And Drake Maye looks like he can be. I said this last week. Like I think, like he now looks like, all right, like there's going to be like a top quarter of the NFL quarterback, and that doesn't sound like much, but that means top 8. And once you get past the first 4, right, you're Lamar, Josh, Burrow, and of course Mahomes. You get into the Stafford, Goff, you know, Hurts. Like I think Drake can be there soon, right? Maybe not now, but soon. I think he can get there.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say, and again, I think
Jayden Daniels, we're forgetting about him, but Jayden Daniels is in that group.
Yeah, there was a Commanders fan that probably almost spilled his Cheerios before you caught that. But
sorry about that, Washington.
Look good on Sunday, and we'll get there. But
yeah, and you want to guard against being a prisoner of the moment. But I mean, he has been building to this too. Like he's looked good the last few weeks, you know. So it'll be interesting to see where he takes it from here.
I do wonder if the Patriots are going to be able to get more games like this out of Stephon Diggs when it's not the team that he used to play for. But did you see the stat? It's like literally his 2 best games ever are against the team that got rid of him.
I mean, there's no, this is going to sound like it's not a shot, and it has nothing to do with what happened in the spring on a boat with Cardi B. But I mean, he looked like he was on a cocaine high, like the energy he was playing with. It was unbelievable. I mean, like the energy he played with was like, holy crap. You know what I mean? Like, I was so impressed with him, like, cause he's still like less than a year off the ACL. And I don't know exactly where, you know, I don't know exactly how sustainable it is. I mean, obviously he's not going to have that stat line 10 for 146 every week. Like that's not happening. But, I know what the Patriots thought of him, and that like at this point of his career, he's probably purely a slot receiver and, not a true number 1, not a guy who can win on the outside quite as much as he used to be able to. And, I mean, this looked like old school Stephon Diggs, so we'll see.
I mean, you got it for the game that you needed it for. But I mean, that he was literally the difference maker, right? I mean, you have Travion Henderson and Antonio Gibson and Ramondre Stevenson combining for what 2, 3.5, and 4 yards a carry. Nobody over 25 yards. This is not the Mike Vrabel team that we thought we were going to get. And if you look at the receivers too, after Diggs, who had 10 catches on 12 targets for 146 yards, you had Hunter Henry, 2 for 46, Kayshon Boutte, 3 for 43, Demario Douglas, 2 for 17, Ramondre Stevenson, 2 for 13.
I think even that's significant because I think that's part of Drake's growth too, was spreading the ball around. And yeah, Steph got the ball a lot, but I mean, if you made
that into a pie chart, everybody else got like a kid slice,
right? But that's still what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys.
Yeah.
On top of that, with multiple catches, right? Yeah. Like so, like I think if you look at like it does mirror what we saw over the first month of the season from him, which was I think in week 1 it was like Booty was the main guy. Then the week after that it was Stevenson. Then Hunter Henry, and then the last 2 weeks Diggs. So there's just a lot. I mean, there's a lot to like about the way Drake Maye's playing. And I think a lot of it, like until yesterday, was like how well he was playing in structure, how he was being able to go back and forth between the aggressive and the patient. And then like last night, I think you saw some more of the Superman stuff, like where, I think that it's interesting because I think the comp I had for him when he was coming out, you can look it up. It's in my it's in the column I do every year on the draft quarterbacks. Was he's he's Justin Herbert physically with a Josh Allen play style, because I don't think anybody's Josh Allen. You know what I mean? Like Josh Allen's just this. There's no one like him, right? But he does have a little bit of that Josh Allen play style where physically I think he probably matches up with Justin Herbert a little bit more.
We got some breaking news in here. 10 a.m. As we close the Patriots segment, the North Carolina Twitter account has been bullied into posting Drake Maye highlights.
Oh, what an amazing turn of events.
And the best part is nobody's happy about it. Just a couple look at the comments here. I mean, that's why we're all here. Jordan is going to be pissed. Whoever posted this, good for you. The whole Belichick narrative to not post anything is so childish. LOL, does this mean that they fired Belichick? The admin went rogue. Better late than never. Took you long enough.
At that point, though, like I'm glad we're doing this live. At that point, is it would it be better for them to have just not tweeted anything for the next 6 hours? I think that probably would have been the way to go,
Yeah, you gotta what's the thing? You got to tweet through it, right?
No, I think what they should have done is not addressed it and then waited for like him to be named like AFC Offensive Player of the Week or something like that, and then just retweeted that.
Oh my God!
I think that would have been the move.
We gotta go. We gotta get on to the next thing. But I just gotta say this: it's a bummer to me. You cover coaches, right? But when I came into the league, it a little bit different than you. Like my first year was 2010, and by then you were in your mid 40s and had covered the Patriots for a quarter century, and so you and Belichick were more contemporaries in terms of age. But I was 22, okay, and that was in the height of the Patriot dynasty and the Patriot way and the mystique and all that stuff. And I remember the first time that I got to interview Belichick one-on-one. And I say interview in air quotes because what you did back then was you submitted questions to Bears, his personal consigliere, and then Bears like dictated the answers back to you with like the voice tones and the inflections and everything. At least that's how it worked for this feature story that I did on Belichick. And at that moment, and the answers were good. Like the story was really good. And at that moment,
if you got Belichick going on anything like football wise, or about the Giants, like he was awesome.
And I felt like in that moment, as a young person, it felt so important, and it was this thing where it was like, wow, I've made it. I tapped into this thing, and now it's just like, I don't think you can cheapen the memory, but it's just it's weird to see how all of this has transpired. Anyway, let's get into
it. Here we are, like it's just
yeah, we got a bustling
Sunday
slate.
I'll say one last thing about this, all right, because I do think this is to me the crux of it, right? Bill should be Nick Saban right now. Bill should be sitting on a TV set in a suit with everyone wanting to hear what he has to say, a godfather of the sport.
Yes.
I think Nick Saban is drawing an absolute playbook for how a legend walks away. He is now like, he is a dignitary. Like it's almost like he's a senator now. You know what I mean? Like you just, and I think that's what Bill should be now, and not futzing around in the ACC. You know what I mean? And I love college football. I'm not one of these, not one of these NFL people that looks down their nose at college football. Everybody who knows me knows that, but like, I just feel like this would be, if Bill was just, if Bill was just, on the, I don't know, on the NBC, on the Football Night in America set in a suit, it's not the same as being on College Game Day, of course. But
I'm sure by then, if Bill asked, like, if he loved the college atmosphere, right? And Bill retired and be like, "Hey, I want to do College Game Day." Who's saying no?
right.
Like,
Right.
do you think anybody's saying no to
No.
that? It's like, okay, you do
No.
whatever you want. You could be Reese Davis. I don't care.
No. I just think it's like, that's the thing is, like, that's what he should be doing, and I wouldn't begrudge, like, look, like, we all only have so long to live. I know that sounds dark, but like, and I know how much he loves coaching, and I actually respect that part of it. You know what I mean? Like, that he wants to coach so badly that he was willing to do this. But I do think for the rest of us, there's that element of it, like, where it's like, he should be Nick Saban right now, and unfortunately that's not what's happening.
Choosing work boots used to mean sacrificing comfort or durability. If they felt good, they didn't last. And if they lasted, they wrecked your feet. Brunt thought that was BS, so they built tough boots that feel great from day one. No break-in, no sore feet, because people out there doing the real work shouldn't have to choose between comfort and durability. Guys, I got the Marin boot sent, and I'll tell you what, it felt like my favorite pair of sneakers right out of the box on the feet. But then you bring them out, was doing a little patchwork on the stone wall behind the house the other day, needed my tough boots, and I felt totally comfortable and secure. And let's be real, you can also just throw them on with a pair of jeans, and they look great when you wear them out. These are no doubt the most comfortable work boots I've ever worn, and they're built to perform. Whether you need waterproof, safety toe, soft toe pull-on, or lace-up, they have options that can handle whatever job site you're walking into. And Brunt stands behind what they make. You can wear them to work, and if they're not right for you, send them back. I don't know any other brand doing that. That's a company that believes in their product. Brunt isn't just about work boots. They offer a full range of high-performance gear built for the tough jobs. I got the hat with the little pencil holder in it, too, when I'm doing a little bit of work in the basement. From heavy-duty work pants, weather-resistant jackets, Brunt designs durable, reliable workwear to keep you protected and productive in any condition. Brunt was tired of the workwear brands out there cutting corners. You work too hard to be stuck in uncomfortable boots that don't hold up, so they built something better. Boots that are insanely comfortable and built for any job site. For a limited time, our listeners get 10% off at Brunt when you use code MMQB at checkout. Just head to bruntworkwear.com and use the code MMQB. You're good to go. And after you order, they'll ask where you heard about it. Do us a favor and tell them it was from this show. All right, let's get to just an excellent Sunday slate. Excellent in a weird way. This was on its face, a strange week, but I think some beautiful moments in some bizarre places. I'll start with Buccaneers Seahawks, which, Albert, I had the Bucs in the NFC Championship game in my season preview, which I felt good about. I underplayed the Seahawks a little bit just because I thought that the 49ers and the Rams were going to be so good that they would still kind of edge them out a little bit. But I thought that they would be better. I thought this was an NFC title game preview. Both of these teams looked absolutely phenomenal. I did not want this to end. So, I mean, everything about this game was great. This was the best. So,
I mean, even the Levante David pick, right?
Yeah.
Like, you can't kill Sam Darnold for it too much because it went off of Logan Hall's helmet. You know what I mean? Like, so I think that was just a great individual play. Like, I had Levante David on the phone after the game, and it was like, my first question was like, I don't think people realize how hard that is to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To track a ball, you see it coming out of the quarterback's hands. Okay, I got it. Oh, wait a minute. It grazed this guy's helmet. Now I have to track it.
Yeah.
And how fast that's all happening in front of him. That game had it all. And like, I think you're right. Like, I think Seattle showed us something too, right?
I mean, look at the box score of this game.
Yeah.
Okay. This is what you want from an NFL football game. You have on the Bucs side, Emeka Egbuka. Don't ask Rob Gronkowski to say that, by the way. Did you see that?
Or Conor Orr. It's a Mecca.
Shit. Emeka
How
Egbuka.
dare you, my Ohio State receiver? How dare you, Emeka Egbuka?
Did you
And
see
the and just for people who don't know, the G is silent. It's Emeka Egbuka.
Emeka Egbuka?
Emeka Egbuka.
All right, I did better than
You did better than
Rob
Rob.
Gronkowski.
Yeah, you did
who
better than
said,
Rob. Well, what do you call it? A big bow?
Emeka Egbigbu.
I love how everybody has no problem with it too. Who's anybody? You know what I mean? Like everybody's like, "Oh yeah, Gronk, haha!" Like like.
I mean, that is okay. I did it. I did it wrong too. But
But like, and how intent Gronk is when he says it too. Like he'll be saying something, he'll get like that really serious look on his face, like he's like Emeka Egbuka, like, and then he'll go into it, and then they'll go to a wide shot, and like three guys have their heads in their hands, laughing. Like
I do that. Like I'm gonna get filleted in the comments for this, and Rob gets to do that, and then everyone's like, "Ha ha! Here's $18 million for your work on Sunday." But anyway, Emeka.
Yeah, he's probably making more to do that job than he was to be making to be the greatest tight end of all time.
He probably made more saying that just in that little window of time than like I will for like an entire season of NFL podcasting. But that's fine. We're all very happy to be here. Emeka Egbuka had 7 catches for 163 yards. Jackson Smith and Jigba had 8 for 132. You had
if any receivers, any great high school receivers out there are wondering where they should go to school.
Anyway, you had Kenneth Walker with almost 100 yards. Yep. You had Charbonnet at 4 yards a carry. Like
no Bucky Irving is kind of an interesting wrinkle to the whole thing too, which I think I honestly think that's the one thing. Like as well as these teams played, I think this showed us a little something about Baker Mayfield. Okay. Chris Godwin's not like at full capacity. Mike Evans is out. They're still without 2 starting offensive linemen, right? No Bucky Irving. And he absolutely, I mean, that throw he made at the end to Sterling Shepard to win to tie the game was bonkers. And I hate to do if this was somebody else, but if Josh Allen was making that play, there would have been like the mind blown emojis all over.
Oh, for sure. I agree.
Like that was a Josh Allen type of play where he was, he escaped. He did the Houdini act out of the pocket, escaped, rolled left and threw across his body into the back of the end zone to find Sterling Shepard. I mean, to me, like there's that difference between with great quarterbacks. I think there are very few quarterbacks where there are a lot of quarterbacks you can win with, like where if everything's around them, you can win with them, right? And then there's that smaller group where you're winning because of them. Like, I feel like Baker was that guy yesterday, right?
Here's the incredible stat that I just keep coming back to, and think about how many quarterbacks we have seen come and go in our lifespan of covering the NFL. Okay. He's the first quarterback in NFL history to throw for more than 375 yards with fewer than 5 incompletions. Think about that for a second.
Wait, so more than 350 with fewer than 5?
More than 375.
Okay. So that's specific. That means somebody did it with 350, but yeah.
Probably someone did it with 350, yeah.
Yeah.
But fewer than 5 incompletions.
Yeah.
That is against that defense. And anyone out there who was saying, oh, they scored a lot of points, defense isn't good. Watch the way that Mike McDonald blitzed Baker Mayfield, and it was like he was standing in Tampa Bay's huddle. He knew exactly where Baker was going to be rolling out. He knew exactly how he was going to throw the ball, and he would send pressure right into the thick of it. Like, and Todd Bowles was the same way on the other side. Excellent blitzer. This was just a great game of the best against the best at their best to steal a title of a great former SI story.
With everything that's happened in the AFC now too, with the Ravens having the injury issues they have and falling to 1-4, and like the Bills scuffling a little bit and the Chiefs scuffling a little bit, and The Bengals, like with Joe Burrow down, I almost feel like maybe the quality at the top of the NFC might be better right now. Like you take these two, you add the Eagles, the Lions, the Niners, the Rams. Like I it's weird, but I mean, is the NFC the stronger conference 5 weeks into the year? I wouldn't have thought I would say that, but right now it might be. And it's because of teams like this, like where I think these were two good teams last year, and it looks like they're elevating into being something more than that. And I think it's in part because of the quarterback play, of course, but they're also really well-rounded rosters, and we've talked, of course, and had fun with you over how they detached from the Brady era, and like how their detachment from their Brady era was much cleaner than the Patriots detachment for theirs, and how they were able to turn over that core and get younger all over the place. And so we see that. And then Seattle, I mean, I think you got to give like John Schneider some credit here for really what they did with all the capital from the Russell Wilson trade, and how they've built now, and the young stars they have. It's Kenneth Walker, it's Jackson Smith and Jigba, it's Charles Cross, who's a foundational left tackle for them. AJ Barner, like I've been really impressed with him, and being that young all over the place, right? And having a quarterback who's relatively affordable, like Sam's making good money, but he's not making like, Allen Mahomes money. I think has allowed them to go and roll the dice on some veterans like a Cooper Kupp, So Seattle's in a really nice place too. I don't know. I mean, like I look at the totality of this, I would love to see these two teams play again, and I felt that way coming out of the Tampa game last week where they lost to Philly after that comeback. I'm like, these two teams are going to see each other again. Like this felt like another one of those. Like the NFC playoffs could be a blast.
Let's move on. There's a couple.
By the way, if they do play again in the playoffs, let's see them in those uniforms again.
Well, I mean, this one, the icy or the not the icy ones. That was the Bills, but the
right. That was one that, in case you're not aware, that was one that was reflecting the hard-edged winners of Western New York.
I love that, but we do need more creamsicle. We need more creamsicle. We need more. It just needs to happen all the time, and the Seahawks need more throwbacks too. I mean, like they did. I mean, that was an all-time just like chef's kiss uniform matchup, which
the Seahawks, I actually thought, so the Buccaneers, it's interesting not to get off on a tangent, but the Buccaneers, like their uniform, no one thought those were good looking when they were actually wearing them. I got news for all the kids. Like back in my day, those colors were a sign of ineptitude. No one liked Bucko Bruce. No one liked the creamsicle look. And when they got rid of them, it was applauded in the mid 90s, right? The Seahawks are different. I think people liked those Seahawks uniforms when they were wearing them. And then they went to all this new age stuff that, I don't know, wasn't, I don't think anybody was overjoyed when the Seahawks went away from the uniforms they were wearing back then in like the Cortez Kennedy days.
I miss it. I think it's nostalgic, and you know what? Our age bracket runs the world now, Albert, theoretically. And so in terms of at least buying dumb shit on the internet. So give us more throwbacks and we will purchase them.
Contrary to popular belief, me and Conor were born in the same decade.
Kind of.
It's true. I was born 2 weeks before Miracle on Ice. I was born in 1980.
I thought you were a 1978 guy for some reason. I don't know why.
Wow.
I mean, 1978, 1980 are not that different. Let's be real. I mean, it's not.
There will come a time when you will be offended if somebody says you were born in what would be 86. Is that right?
I was born in 88. I had a
right. No, but I'm saying like 86 would be your 78.
Yeah, I could see that. Someone came up to me the other day. I've been getting a lot of sirs recently, and I was like, you got to stop that. And someone came up to me the other day. I was wearing a Grateful Dead hat at an amusement park with my kids, and one of the guys who works for one of the rides at Legoland came over, and he was like, "Hey, I just have a weird question." And I was like, "What?" And he said, like, we were all talking, and we are like, "What does your hat mean? Is it like a symbol for something?" And I was like, "The Grateful Dead?" And he was like, yeah. What is that? And I was like, oh my God. And I mean, this is, it's just going to keep happening, I guess. And I guess even though that band was before my time, I thought clearly.
So like now you're like the deadhead sticker on a Cadillac guy.
I am.
Yeah, you are.
So sad. I have to tell you about this game-changing product I use before a night out with drinks, and it's called pre-alcohol. ZBiotics pre-alcohol probiotic drink is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking, and here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's a buildup of this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for rough days after drinking. Pre-alcohol uses an enzyme to break this byproduct down. Just remember to make pre-alcohol your first drink of the night, drink responsibly, and you'll feel great tomorrow. Look, guys, I won't lie. I was a bit on the fence about this initially, but then I was hanging out down at the clubhouse watching Monday Night Football, took it down for myself and a bunch of my friends. We all gave it a shot, and believe me, it's the real deal. Fall is right around the corner, so that means it's time to raise a glass to your favorite team, whether you're tailgating, enjoying college game day, watching Sunday action on that fancy new TV. Don't forget about ZBiotics pre-alcohol probiotic drink. Drink a pre-alcohol before drinking and enjoy great days after celebrating all season long. Go to zbiotics.com/MMQB to learn more and get 15% off your first order when you use MMQB at checkout. ZBiotics is backed with a 100% money-back guarantee, so if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. Remember to head back to zbiotics.com/MMQB. Use the code MMQB at checkout for 15% off. All right, we have the Commanders 27, the Chargers 10. The Chargers actually got out to a 10-0 lead in this game, and then the Commanders scored 27 straight. This was the Bill Krosky-Merritt game, I think, that everybody was waiting for.
I love that nickname, by the way. I mean,
Bill
I remember
great.
the first time. So I was there over the summer, and Cliff started like I had heard about him, right? And Cliff started like casually referring to him as Bill to me. I'm like,
who?
It's like, what are you talking about, Bill? Like, is that like someone in accounting or something like that? Like,
Bill in accounting. I love that.
No, Bill Krosky-Merritt. Yeah. So it is like without question my favorite nickname in the NFL this year.
But he had Josh Norris compiled this, who does a great job over at Underdog. 28 snaps. Bill Krosky-Merritt produced gains of 28, 27, 15, 15, 12, 11, and 10. Cliff Kingsbury was on fire in this one. And Jayden Daniels, again, this is the perfect way to get him back into the fold, right? Only got one sack. He only had to drop back 26 times. There were 8 rushes, but they were not, your long of 12. And even I think on the 12, Tom Brady came out and was like, I keep telling him to slide. You need to slide more like me. And it's like, well, Tom, you and Jayden are a little different athletically. I think we can, we can expect different things from you. But anyway, I thought this was the perfect get Jayden back into the groove game. And the Commanders just look awesome again. So
yeah, I mean, I talked to Dan Quinn after the game, and it was, I asked him about being down 10-0 and kind of like what he had to figure out about his team then. And he actually said to me, he was like, we had to figure out a different way to win. You know what I mean? Like, and I think last year, like Jayden was such a comet across the sky, and Cliff was, I think had an opportunity to reset himself offensively. And so, they win 12 games, they go to the NFC title game, but they were winning a certain way every week. And there was a formula that they had. And, I think what DQ and those guys really like about where they're at now is that they have been forced to win different ways. In not having Jayden for a couple of weeks, now they don't have Terry McLaurin, right? Like, so, we'll see how long he's out, but they had to manage that. And their ability to run the ball and win the game behind their running game and behind Krosky-Merritt and to buckle down on defense the way that they did. I still don't know that they're like fully formed what that team's going to be when the rebuild is complete. Like they still need some help on the defensive line. And I look everywhere else in the roster and it's like, this is like an increasingly complete team. And even though they stumbled against the Packers and even though, they couldn't quite get it done, in Atlanta, with Mariota at quarterback, I still think like they are. I think this team's in a good place because I think being forced into that corner where you do have to win games a different way, I think can be really beneficial for where you're going because you're going to get to a point in the season where down the line where there's going to be teams that are going to be good enough that are going to force you to play a different way.
Right. Omarion Hampton got hurt in this game. He's going to miss some time.
And the offensive line, geez,
Yeah, I mean, this is this is a tough situation. The Chargers are going through it now, right? This is kind of their
right.
It's almost like a little bit lesser version of what's going on with the Ravens. It's a tough play for Hampton too. He got like clipped while he was running out for a route.
So, and I mean, in fairness to Jim Harbaugh and that group there too, like I think this would be a little bit like I think the analogy I would make is to like those Giants teams that you covered, back in the day. This would be like if they lost like OCU Manura, Justin Tuck, and Michael Strahan all at once. You know what I mean? Like, because the personality of that team ran through the defensive line. I think the Chargers are sort of built the same way through their offensive line. So not having Joe Alt, Rashawn Slater, and Mekhi Becton all at once, like sort of strips the team of its personality. You know what I mean? Like, and that's really where the foundation of the team is. And so I think they'll be fine. I think once they get Alt back in the lineup, once Becton's back in there, I know Slater's not coming back, but I think there's a difference between like dealing with one or two injuries there versus like, all right, like now we're rolling out there with like, I mean, what is it? One regular starter. At one point, like maybe two regular starters yesterday. It was a tough place to be.
Just before we move on, I'll just say that Jayden Daniels made two unbelievable throws in this game, one to Luke McCaffrey and one to Deebo Samuel for a touchdown. I mean, they just, this team went from, I don't know to, I mean, based on how the NFC is shaping up, I mean, I think this is another team that's got conference title game potential. Let's go to, we got a lot to get to today, Albert. This was a big Sunday. I'm just going to brush by, no offense to the Bengals and Lions at this point. The Lions beat the Bengals 37-24.
I think the Lions are fully back, and it's a great example of how week one lies to everybody.
David Montgomery got to throw some balls because he played high school football in Cincinnati.
I actually thought that was really cool. Did you see some of those? I mean, like his sister was paralyzed and never had seen him play in person. And
oh, wow. No, I didn't see that.
That's like he grew up in a tough neighborhood in Cincinnati, and so he had never played there before. I don't like just and I don't know how many years is he in the league. He's got to be like 8 years into the league now, right?
Yeah.
Like, but somehow he had just quirk of the schedule, whatever. He had never had a chance to go back and play there, and his sister was paralyzed, and so she got to see him play for the first time in person as a pro. I think it was. It was a pretty cool story. So to see him go back there, and this is his 7th year in the NFL, that's a pretty cool story. He gets to throw the touchdown pass right on the jump pass there. So cool to see him have that moment. And I think, the Lions are the Lions again, right?
For sure. Never a good sign, Cincinnati, when the team gets to plan like a fun thing to. Where it was like, it's like, oh, this team's bad enough that we could probably let our running back sling a few.
Let's give our running back that moment. Yeah. So he scored a touchdown and then threw the touchdown pass. So
yeah. So that was kind of my only. I mean, Jamar Chase had a couple touchdowns. I'm sure if you knew, you picked him in fantasy, but this was not anything.
The one thing I do need help on, so I'll fall on the sword here because you couldn't pronounce Emeka Ibuka, like Gronkowski. So How do we like Isaac Tesla? It's not Tesla, right?
It's Tesla.
Tesla.
Okay,
I need work on that one. Like that's one because there's the capital S in there, right? Which throws you off a little bit. Tesla.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tesla,
So not like
but you gotta like Tesla. You gotta like really, you really gotta get it in there. Another one. That was a one I picked him in the last round of all my fantasy leagues, and everyone was like, "Who on earth is that person?" And that was like my fun little wink and nod to everybody, along with Darren Waller, who I've been crushing it with that guy. But we'll get to that in a little
I
bit.
signed Darren Waller yesterday. I was sitting with my 11.
You signed him. You brought him in.
I sit with my 10-year-old, and I Brock Bowers was out, so Brock Bowers is my tight end, and I had to go to the waiver wire, and my 10-year-old and his buddy Kellen came over and said, "Dude, you got to sign Darren Waller." So I signed Darren Waller. My timing was just right on that one.
Just top, absolutely top notch. So let's get to the Titans and the Cardinals, which is not a game that we would normally probably spend a lot of time talking about, Albert, but was the game of the weekend. And let me go through exactly, because I like the way that I laid this out. Got to find it here on si.com. You can read the column, and here's what I thought was just kind of unbelievable about this. Okay, the Cardinals were up 21-6 in this game. They were soundly beating the team that you could make the argument is the worst team in football. Okay, and then Amari DiMercato does the boneheaded thing, and I hate boneheaded. I mean, I think it's just it's a brain fart, whatever you want to call it. Drops the football at the goal line with a little more than 12:30.
And great hustle play by L'Jarius Sneed, who I think to some degree influenced that a little bit.
Yeah. Jonathan Gannon, there's some video of him going to DiMercato on the sidelines afterwards. Like, that was heated after that happened. It just,
and rightfully so.
Rightfully so. But
especially like that happened like
a week ago.
It happened last week. And that's the thing is, like, you have to think like a lot of coaches would be like, if that happened to you a week after it happened elsewhere in the league, it's like, my God, dude, like, did you not just see what happened? Like, and I don't know. I mean, I guarantee you, like, the DiMercato and Mitchell plays are going to be shown back to back in a lot of team meetings this week.
Yeah, just please don't do that again. But anyway, so this happens in 12:30 in the fourth quarter. And instead of a 28-6 lead, the Cardinals open the door. The Titans come back and they score a touchdown. Then at the 4:47 mark, just an absolutely ridiculous interception by the Cardinals, and then the ball's punched out, and then it's kicked, and then Tyler Lockett falls on it in the end zone. So it was like, I think whatever the officiating crew guy in the booth called it like an ABCA play or something like that, where it's like it changes hands 2 or 3 times.
That was crazy. Yeah.
And then at the end of this game, the
Here
Cardinals
comes
have
Cam Ward.
Well, before that, the Cardinals are still up in this game, and then it's a 3rd down and 8, and they don't run the ball, or they run the ball, and it was like runs of like 2-0-0, and then they just punt the ball back to Cam Ward again, who was starting to heat up in this one, and then eventually that's what gets them. I mean, they come down and they score the game winner. I mean,
I think that thing with Cam Ward, though, like, I think what you saw with Cam Ward is that, like, level-headed, like, that evenness to him, like how cool he looked and how calm he looked in the pocket and delivering the ball to Calvin Ridley, which, by the way, they didn't need to do that in that spot. Like, they had enough time where they could have worked it down the field a little bit more methodically. But, I mean, that was a dime. Like, that was right on the guy's hands. Ridley made a nice play on the ball. It needed to be a perfect ball. The coverage was there, and Cam put it right on him. And I just think, I mean, look, man, I think after the week that they had, right, there's so much significance to this one. Like, as far as I'm concerned, like, a coach cannot get his players to tune out in this day and age all the noise around their team, good or bad, right?
Right.
And these guys heard for the last 2 weeks how their team was dead, how the Titans have never been worse, how their coach was dead man walking. Why is he even still here? And for them to then have heard all of that and be down 21-3 so quickly and be down 21-6 in the second half and pull this off, I think it can be a turning point. They're still not good enough to win their division or any of that stuff, right? But I do think that this is a team that can now has something to hang its hat on where it could become a tough out. They play the Raiders this week, then they have Vrabel coming back to Nashville in 2 weeks. And I just think, I don't know. I think Brian Callahan's a better coach than people realize. I know there's the game management stuff and everything else, but I think he handled all of this, the noise around him, pretty good. You know what I mean? I'll be interested to see how the next 2-3 weeks play out for them, because I think they have something to hang their hat on here.
I think they do. I'm not ready to excuse everything that led to us believing that Brian Callahan, might not be long for this. On the flip side, the Cardinals, when I wrote about this yesterday, and I kind of made the comp that in front of them kind of lies almost, it's scary how identical it is to the Matt Eberflus Bears situation, where it was a bad team. It was like a 5-win team, and then it became a 7-win team. And then it was, okay, here's our making the leap playoff season. And the Cardinals, it was a 4-win team. Then it was an 8-win team. And then this is our playoff season. And then in week 5, just like the Chicago Bears with the Hail Mary and everything uncharacteristically happening, now the Cardinals have this dropped on their plate where it's you're not quite the team that you thought you were. Your quarterback's not quite who you thought that he was, or at least he's not playing up to that. Everybody's playing a little tight. And now you have this, I don't know what you want to call it, make or break moment to save your season.
Their game is really, their game next week's really interesting too. They're going to Indy.
Right.
And this is an Indy team, I can tell you, just having talked to a couple of those guys over the course of the last few weeks, that Indy team is playing with an edge right now. And they're playing with this. We're going to show everybody how good we are. And they're stepping on people's throats. And,
they're like Texas Tech trying to make the college football playoff.
That's actually a pretty good analogy. It does feel that way though, doesn't it?
It does.
Hey, you don't think we're that good. We're going to show you every week how good we are, and they went toe to toe with the Rams in LA, probably should have won that game.
And now they dropping the ball before the goal line. Yeah.
Right. And then they come back around and just absolutely obliterate the Raiders. You were on them early. I'll give you credit. You were on them, and there's a lot of elements of that team that look very real right now.
Yeah, I mean, this is a game. The Colts probably coming in at the worst time. This is a game where you have to answer the call, right? And
it's kind of a big moment for them. They've lost 3 in a row now. This is sort of all right, let's see what they are. 3 years in for Monty Ossenfort and Jonathan Gannon and all those guys. This is, to me, I've been looking at how this season started, and they were 2-0, and it was okay, here we go. And then they get the back-to-back division games in the 5-day span, right? Because they play on that Thursday night, and they lose both of them, but they're both close. And then to come back and blow a lead against a team that a lot of people thought was the worst in the league. Now, where does that leave you? And you got the Colts, and you got the Packers, and then you got the bye.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't think, and things are not going to be forgiving in the NFC West, clearly.
That's the thing. I mean, seeing Seattle, and I guess, which is theoretically, I mean, San Francisco beat the Rams as they are in their current state. They are probably not the second best team. I would still put Rams 1, and then maybe even Seattle 2, and San Francisco 3 in their current state.
Right.
But the fact that the Cardinals can't even get into that conversation, and they look like a world apart from Seattle right now, even is is just a little bit troubling to me. Now, I'm not going out there and saying they need to do anything. Fire Jonathan Gannon, fire Monty Ossenfort. They have good players. I mean,
yep.
And, to expect them to make the leap, it's just the timing's not right. You know what I mean? And that sucks. It sucks to say that, but sometimes you can have a good coach and you can have a lot of the stuff, but it just doesn't work. And maybe you give him a chance to explore life with a different quarterback. I don't know.
Yeah, and that was sort of like, I think that we're going to eventually have that conversation is like, is Kyler Murray kind of like having like Dominique Wilkins as your best player on your NBA team back in the day, where you're paying him like your best player. You've got him like in there as your best player, but he's never going to be quite good enough to leapfrog you over Isaiah Thomas and the Pistons or Michael Jordan and the Bulls or Larry Bird and the Celtics. Like it sort of feels that way. Like he is he, and it's a tough spot to be in at that position too, but you sort of wonder if that's where they are. Like if they have to have and it's interesting because of the way Goff's career went after that, but it's sort of like, do they have to have the conversation the Rams had on Goff,
Yeah. Yeah. And, we'll see.
And it's not easy to find it out like the Rams found in Stafford.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like these guys are just floating around out there.
Right.
I mean, Stafford would still qualify as probably the best option. Even, right. I mean, he's.
I mean, look at like how the Giants and the Steelers and the Raiders were all lined up for him last year. When there was the possibility he might be available.
Yeah. Texans 44, Ravens 10. I don't have a lot here except for, I mean, the Ravens are playing a junior college team at this point. Yeah. They just are.
I think it was Garofalo who had the stat like before when the inactives came out that it was something like 20 Pro Bowl selections were on the inactives for the Ravens.
I mean, yeah, but I mean, it's not that this game doesn't matter. I mean, it was a nice get off the Buck game for Houston, but if they think that they're going to get the defensive mismatches that they got in that game in a real, not a real game, but against another opponent, they have another thing coming because this defense was reeling even before the cascade of injuries. And I still think Baltimore is going to be okay because you're going to start to slowly get all these guys back. You're going to start to win. You're going to get some of the weird bounces.
Yeah.
And Steelers games are always weird.
I mean, the key for them is going to, the key for them
is running away with that division. Nobody.
I mean, because they play the Rams this week. So like the key for them is going to be, like, can you find a way to scratch out that game? And that's a Rams team that's also coming off of a loss and has 10 days to prepare for you. That game is very interesting because that one, like, you're going to look at them and I'm with you. Like, I think the Ravens are 100% going to start playing a lot better after their bye because I think they'll have a lot of these guys back and they have the Bears and the Dolphins coming out of the bye. And it's like, okay, like 2 wins, here we go. We're back on track. 1-5 is a tough hole to climb out of, though.
1-5 is tough, but I think the AFC North is making it less tough. It's making it more realistic. I mean, I think Vegas still likes the Ravens as a Vegas still likes them as a playoff team.
Yeah.
Let's move on to just very quickly the Panthers and the Dolphins. So Panthers and Dolphins. Panthers win this game 27-24. The Dolphins started out 17-0, and Albert, the first half of this game looked so bad that I thought Andy Dalton was going to come in the second half. Baker Mayfield had 2 gutting turnovers in the first half. One where he essentially just handed the ball to Bradley Chubb and set the Dolphins up with great field position. I can't say enough about Brad Idzik and Dave Canales in this one, getting Bryce Young back to a point where he was confident. And a lot of that helps when you have Rico Dowler running for 206 yards. I mean,
I know.
You talk about a breakdown. Like the Cardinals game was a breakdown. This was a breakdown.
And they talked a lot about like Rico Dowdle in the summer and like how he was going to bring a certain edge to the run game. You certainly saw that. Look, like I think part of it was just guys make like I don't know if you saw Xavier Legette's touchdown catch, but it's spectacular, and it was finding a way to dig yourself out of those situations. And it looked like, especially when it looked like the Dolphins were going to run away with this one. And I mean, it's the weirdest thing, Connor, and I'm going to try to pull it up now, but that Panthers thing that I mentioned, right? Okay. So they started the season, the first six and a half quarters of the season, they were losing in an aggregate 53-13. Then they scored 59 unanswered points. Then opponents outscored them 59-7, and they have since scored 20 unanswered. I think that changed since I tweeted that, but it's weird how up and down they've been and how all over the place they've been. But they're 2-3 now, and like they've given themselves at least a puncher's chance to get out of this. And they're another one where, and I hate to be schedule guy, but like the Cowboys game's a manageable game for them. They go to the Jets after that. I mean, and then they're in Buffalo at the end of the month, which could they be 4-3 going into Buffalo? I think it's possible.
That's crazy. I mean, good for them if that's the case. But holy smokes.
I mean, and also being able to ride these things out. Like they looked awful last week. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They looked awful in their opener for that matter. And then they start that Cardinals game. And the Cardinals, I think, were up 27-3 almost instantly. And, to be able to kind of ride some of that stuff out, I think they deserve credit for that.
Couple of quick ones here before I want to talk. I want to talk Broncos Eagles. I mean, that was kind of the last big game of the weekend, and I want to reserve a little bit of space for that. Cowboys 37, the Jets 22. Aaron Glenn, I think, is the first Jets coach to ever start a career 0-5. So
is that right?
Not tremendous there, and like everybody looked bad in this game. There was nothing to write home about.
I just don't think the talent's that bad either. The whole thing's baffling to me. I don't know.
This is and Aaron Glenn is I think the cool thing about him, but also the sticking point is he's very steadfast in no coordinator changes, no staff changes, because that's what Dan Campbell did for me. I was an embattled defensive coordinator. I was an embattled coordinator. I'm not just going to move on. Now, lost in the subtext there is that they did move on from
Anthony. They went from Anthony Lynn to Ben Johnson that first year in Detroit.
Right. So there were some things going on. There were some things going on there.
And you do wonder, looking at it now, they're allowing over 30 points a game. That defense is way better than that. Steve Wilkes was somebody who, Glenn sort of inherited. I wonder if there is a change coming, if that's where it happens.
Yeah, we'll see. But we'll see. My interest here is how long Woody Johnson stands idly by and is like, okay, I'm staying out of this. I mean,
the NFL's October meeting is coming up. And if you remember, Woody Johnson said some interesting things at last year's October meeting.
I mean, this is the guy who got, Mike LaFleur fired and is now the offensive coordinator of the Rams. This is a guy who got Saleh fired, is now the defensive coordinator of one of the better defenses in the NFL. This is a guy who pushed for a lot of staff changes for really good coaches. So we'll see what happens on that front, or if he just decides to remain behind the scenes. You mentioned the Colts 40-6. I mean, the insane thing about this game is that the Raiders were up 3-0 with 2 minutes to go in the first quarter, and then the Colts outscored them 20-0 in the second, 20-0 in the third, and then the Raiders added a little field goal. Crazy, because Ashton Jenney was dominant at the beginning of this game. They got him matched up on backers. They were throwing to him. I think he was close to leading the team in rushing and receiving, but this was a bad Geno Smith game, bad enough that Anthony Richardson got into this one, and Anthony Richardson and Tyler Warren threw almost as many passes as one another, which was acute.
And I think we gotta look at the two offseason additions again: Daniel Jones on offense and Lou Anarumo on defense, and it's just they look like a different team, and I think you can point back to those two changes that they made as the reasons why.
Yeah, no, you're right. So, and this is not to take away from the Colts. I feel like Colts fans are still reveling in this, and it's well, wait, we don't get our 10 minutes. I'm, we have a couple other game, but everybody loves the Colts. They're
Do you want to do schedule game with them too? Cardinals, Chargers, Titans, Steelers, Falcons.
My God,
could they run that? Could they run the table on that?
Number one seed in the conference.
Okay, so if they run the table on that, let's just for fun say then they would be 9-1, hitting their bye with a trip to Arrowhead on the other side of it.
Good Lord, and that game would be rocking.
Yep.
Fun. I mean, this team's awesome. It's just Shane Steichen is unleashed as a play caller. Oh, there's just so much.
Yep.
There's so much to it, and they're just starting to have fun with Tyler Warren too. Like really, just starting to, because he could do so much. I still can't believe he fell to them. That's a conversation for another day. The Saints beat the Giants 26-14. Giants were up 14-3 in this game. The pass rush was non-existent. Cam Scatterbo had a bad fumble. Darius Slayton had a bad fumble. 5 turnovers in this game for the Giants, and that's how you erase all of the goodwill of a completely phenomenal game. I think that the defense was the most disappointing part of this, to allow like an 88-yard bomb to Rashid Shaheed, to not have a single sack on Spencer Rattler when you have 3 supposedly of maybe the 20 best edge rushers in the NFL on your team. Not excusable. This is getting to the point where I think a lot of people's patience is wearing thin. Not with, Drake or Jackson Dart's going to take time, but the rest of this should be a little bit further along than it is.
Yeah, I mean the overall operation, and I think the Saints, like, they knocked. I mean, the good thing for the Saints, you look at them right now, is they knocked on the door last week against Buffalo and played well against Buffalo, and at least put a scare into Buffalo, and like being able to take that and turn it over after a week and that sort of win at home. Brandon Staley with the defense, like being able to turn the ball over that way. It's coming slowly, but I think you're seeing little things there.
I'm getting a bunch of like bot tweets now saying that like you need to retract your Drake Maye. The North Carolina is tweeting about him. See, but it happened. It happened at like 10:30 this morning. I'm not sure.
Are they continuing to tweet on him now?
This bot that like it has a picture of Joe Burrow, and then he says he's from San Marcos. I don't even know where that is, but is saying that I did this wrong. I don't know. I think maybe North Carolina's got some bots working for them. Good for them. I don't care. So the Vikings and the Browns, we just keep treating our overseas friends to heat seeker after heat seeker games. But Carson Wentz pulled this one out in the end, man. Needed a touchdown drive with at one point having none of their starting offensive linemen in. This was a gutsy one for Kevin O'Connell, and they're 3-2 with a pretty disastrous, all things considered, start, right? I mean, you lose your rookie quarterback. Your rookie quarterback doesn't play well. You get that stunner game You know
what's cool about it though is like their ability to continue to do this gives them leeway to allow JJ McCarthy to sit until the bye and get the extra week there. It allows them to keep Christian Darrisaw on a pitch count, so he's got a better chance of being at full speed when it really counts. I just look at the overall look of the way this is going, and it's just they're surviving a lot of stuff right now that's tough to survive. Like the offensive line thing is very impressive. And a lot of people are looking at it and say, "Oh, Carson Wentz, he made big throws to Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison." And of course, they this is a great situation for a quarterback. What Carson Wentz was in yesterday was not necessarily the best situation for a quarterback because he was playing behind 4 backup offensive linemen. I believe Will Fries was the only one in there at the end of the game. That's a regular starter. And so for Kevin O'Connell and his staff to be able to manage that and get Darrisaw the rest and care that he needs to get to be able to sit JJ McCarthy through the trip to Europe, little things like that, I think, add up over time. And so I think that there's a lot of good that can be taken from this sort of win. Obviously, Carson Wentz makes those throws to Jefferson and Addison down the stretch there that were huge. What do you think of the Dylan Gabriel situation?
So
I think he was fine.
I thought he was fine, and I thought that I think you can tell a lot of times because Kevin Stefanski was. They said that on the broadcast, by the way. They were like, a battle of two coaches named Kevin. And I was like, really? That's like, that's how deep in the notes we're getting on this one, that we have to go there. Yeah. But Kevin Stefanski was calling plays for Dylan Gabriel like he had confidence in him. Right? Yep. This wasn't a game plan where it was like, we're walling you off and we're essentially just, he dropped back 33 times against a Brian Flores defense. He was only sacked twice. And yeah, you want Quinshon Judkins carrying the ball 23 times. That's how it should work. That's how your offense should work. But tight end heavy, which a lot of rookie quarterbacks are. I think David Njoku and Harold Fannin had 10 of the 19 completions that he made. Yep. But all that said, I thought he was fine, right? I didn't think he looked bad.
I think the other thing we haven't addressed yet on this podcast, but I tweeted about a bunch yesterday, is the Browns rookie class looks really freaking good. And I think that if we want to revisit at some point the Travis Hunter trade, this looks like it's setting them up to really reset their roster, make up for some of what they lost in the Deshaun Watson trade. Judkins and Fannin and Graham and Schlesinger, Carson Schlesinger might be the defensive rookie of the year. Dylan Sampson has proven that he could be a good player in spurts too. And now to get Gabriel on the field, that's 6 guys that have real roles for the team. And the 7th guy gets all the attention, but like the 6 guys have, I think really shown the Browns have a plan going forward, and however the rest of this year plays out, they're going to go into next year with 2 first-round picks, and looks like the plan that Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski have executed is starting to come together, and this team is going to be tougher to deal with as the year goes on.
We will. We'll see what happens at this point. Cleveland is 1-4, but it doesn't feel that way. Yeah. And I guess there's only so many weeks you can get away with saying, look at how close these games are. Look at how close these games are. But, I think they've looked better across the board than I certainly expected them to. We'll see if they can continue that upward trajectory and stay healthy. Last but not last is Broncos and Eagles. This was arguably the game of the weekend. I think it was marred by some questionable officiating. I'm not going to lie. I thought that there were certainly some blown calls that impacted the game here, but for Denver to come away with a 21-17 win, and to really kind of build off of Bo Nix needed that building block game. And I think he got a lot of help. Cortland Sutton was fantastic in this game. Evan Ingram these guys made some great individual plays that overcame, I think, just whatever rust or jitters Bo Nix is knocking off this season. It just seems like he is still, he's getting into it, right? It's not like Jayden Daniels where everything just looks like butter as soon as he comes out and it looks super smooth. Bo, I think, is just, there's just a little bit of dirt that needs to get knocked off, but his receivers are helping him. This was a complimentary game plan, and I thought that Sean Payton pushed all the right buttons.
Yeah, and I think the trust in his team too. I think there's value in that. That they lost a couple of close games. The Colts game, they probably should have won it. There's a leverage penalty at the end there. And then they blow the lead late against the Chargers, but they were able to respond with the blowout of the Bengals, and then coming back on a short week because the schedule, people they don't care about these things anymore. So let's send Denver across the country on a short week, and then they go to London. This is an interesting spot for the Broncos to be in, just psychologically, having to deal with all of that. You know what I mean? And I just look at the trust that Sean Payton had and in his players late in this game. And the fact that in that spot, again, against the world champs on the road, down 17-3, I think like the mental toughness it takes to come back and, and basically keep swinging on the champion in the fourth quarter. And the 3rd and 15, the throw that Nix made to Sutton, right? And Sutton getting downfield for 34 yards. And then Engram fighting fighting to get into the end zone. And then Sean Payton gambling the way that he did and going for 2. And then after that freaking 4-minute drive they went on, to kind of close the Eagles out. There's so much good stuff there for the Broncos to take. And I think, to me, like one of the biggest things is I look at like the way that Sean Payton has run his team, and there's like this Parcells thing to how old school they are about everything they do, the 2.5 hour practices, the full contact, all that different stuff. Like this is a win to me that reflects all of that.
I think the one thing that you take away, and I'm sure that Kevin Petula wants to just slam his head into a concrete wall at this point, because it was like, you're not throwing a ball to A.J. Brown enough. You're not throwing the ball to A.J. Brown enough. And then in this game, A.J. Brown kind of had a situation where he slowed up on a deep ball, but you threw the ball to A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith a combined, 18 times
yeah.
out of the 38. And then Saquon Barkley had 6 carries. And now everyone's saying, you're not running the ball. You're not running the ball enough. But here's the truth of it, right? Is that I think that I thought it would take another year, but seems to be happening now, where the Eagles' superpower of just being bigger, stronger, faster, harder on the offensive line and being able to just demolish everybody else, that advantage has winnowed to the point where this is not a given anymore. And you can't count on cracking a big run in these games. And I don't think it's schematic. I think it's just reality,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I still, look, it's 1 loss, and it's their 2nd loss in 21 games, I think. So you don't want to make too much of it, but I still think this is an Eagles team that can win a lot of different ways, And even in losing this game, was there a discernible weakness that the Broncos ripped open? I don't think so. I think the Broncos just outfought them at the end, It didn't feel like there was something like, oh, there it is. Like, that's what's wrong with this team,
Yeah.
I'm with you, saying it's tough to have to win that way every week in the NFL with what the NFL is now. But I don't know that you'd really look at this and say there's any sort of that's something that everybody's going to take advantage of. Like the way there was a couple of years ago when they went 10-1, but the defense was really struggling.
I'm going to give it time. It's like the Chiefs thing. It's a trap that you fall into, I think, with the Eagles too, where the more you get wrapped up in this thing not operating like the 1995 Nebraska Cornhuskers, the more that you put yourself in a situation where you're going to look silly when, they're the 1 seed or the 2 seed. And, how big is the sample size? I don't know. They're 4-1. So I think we save judgment for another week. And in the meantime, Albert, we get to kick back and watch Chiefs, Jaguars. We get to do it all over again. And, just not sleep. I think just, but kick back and watch it. You going to make it through the whole game? You think you're gonna?
I would set the over under on my unintentional nap on the couch kicking off at about 10:45, maybe 10:30, 10:30. Then waking up to Scott Van Pelt on the TV.
Just being like, whoa. Jaguars 49, Chiefs 7. What happened? Is everybody okay? You have 11 texts in your phone, Patrick Mahomes is hurt. Patrick Mahomes is hurt. What? I'm not putting that on anybody. All right. Well, thank you guys, as always, for hanging with us this week. Hope you enjoyed the show. As promised, I'm going to try to get Pat 40 on. We're going to do a little Belichick roundtable maybe this week, next week. I'm going to text Pat. I asked him to come on 3 weeks ago, and then we've just been so busy. There's been so much to talk about. I haven't gotten him there. But we'll make it work. So we'll talk to you guys soon, and we'll see you next time.